Thanks for attending this session. So here I'm gonna explain you how to fix your technical debt and improve your architecture with the tool NDPen. So NDPen is a tool for .NET developer I've created in 2004, so 16 years from now. And so with all the years, for 16 years for a tool for .NET developer, that means that a lot of work have been going in. So today, a lot of people present it as a Swiss Army knife for .NET and .NET Core project team, okay, because there is a lot of features. And the idea is to give you a deep insight into code base and empower developer, architect, and executive to make intelligence decisions on projects. So basically, it's like code analytic. So here, I'm sure we all have very large code base we are working daily on. And there is a lot of data, a lot of information. And despite all the great tools we have in Visual Studio, it's still a bit hard to understand a project and to have the 1,000 feet view of the project. So that's that kind of stuff that NDPen is trying to address. So I'm gonna do a quick analysis of .NET 5.0 with NDPen, just to show you the few things, and also that the tool is scaling on very large code base. I think .NET 5.0 we can say it's quite large. And then we're gonna analyze the modern ASP.NET Core website, which is NoHub Commerce, so it's quite popular, so maybe you know it. Then we're gonna focus on code quality of new and refactored code, something quite important. Then we're gonna have a look at the NDPen code rule and how it differs from, for example, Roslyn analyzers. Then a word on the technical debt and code coverage, okay, and how NDPen is attempting to estimate the technical debt. Then we're going to present the quality gate strategy you can put with NDPen, especially when it comes to reporting, and also it works also in Azure DevOps. Okay, and so basically it's a tool integrated into Visual Studio. You also have a standalone, and you have also a console exe, and you have an Azure DevOps extension. So let's start with a demo. So I think it's when I'm going in a session, I really enjoy when it's only demo. So that's why I like to organize only demo. So now I just started Visual NDPen. This is not Visual Studio. This is a standalone executable you get when you are downloading NDPen. So I'm gonna analyze .NET 4. So how do I do that? So I just need to go to this folder. Okay. So here, so did you see well my screen? It's okay?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. So here is a typical folder where you get all the .NET 5.0, the brand new one assemblies. So NDPen detected 164 .NET assembly found. Okay. So I just select them. Basically, it tells me that there is no PDB, because for NDPen, PDB is important. I'm going to explain that just a bit later. So let's try to analyze the entire .NET 4. So it should be pretty quick. So it tells me a lot of warning, the same as before, that there is no PDB. Okay. So why NDPen want PDB? So let me show you. So I think it should be, yes, it's done. It's just analyzes everything. So before that, I want to show you this picture. So from the ndpen.com website. So basically, the primary input for NDPen are .NET assemblies, but you can also input Visual Studio solutions or projects, because from there it can resolve .NET assemblies. Then from .NET PDB files, you can resolve the source file. And you can append also some artifact, like, for example, code coverage. Okay, and from all this data, NDPen is compiling a code model that the tool is using to let you access all the features we're going to see now. Okay, so let's go to the dashboard. So basically, it tells me that there is 17,000 types. So that's not surprising. .NET Core is very big. So it doesn't show me number of line of code, but IL restriction because we don't have the PDB. Okay, so without PDB, it cannot count the number of line of code. Okay, and so here it tells me a lot of information. It found already a lot of issues. So that's important to understand that here it can do all this stuff without even having access to the source code. Even though the source code is online, here it's not passing the source code. So it can do a lot of stuff without even analyzing the source code. So here, for example, there is this very new feature, which is the dependency graph. So I guess you have been using in the past a lot of dependency graph to try to understand what's happening in your code. So what's interesting with the Independent one is that it can scale on very large code base. So here we have all these .NET 5 assemblies. So for example, I can expand all these assemblies. Okay, just told me something. So we can expand all these assemblies to get all the namespaces, then we can expand to get all the types. So let's do it again. Okay, so here we have all the namespaces. We can zoom. Okay, so you can see that when I am hovering it, so I have a lot of boxes, 1,500 boxes. Okay, you can see that when I am hovering boxes, colors are changing. So if I go to help, it tells me that the orange is for hovered element. I can click an element, okay, which is then I select the element, and then I have the green color which indicate me colors or indirect colors. This one is a direct colors of private core lib, and this one is an indirect colors. Okay. Then we have the color red, which means that they are using each other. So somehow this guy is using all these assemblies, which is normally not possible in Visual Studio because you know that it forbids cycle, but in .NET 5 you have this kind of cycle. Okay, and finally you have the blue that indicate colors. So for example, if I select the other one, sorry. Okay, no more. If I select this one, then I have a lot of blue. It is using this one directly, that's using all these guys indirectly. So here we have quite a lot of boxes. So it's interesting. If you want to understand your architecture, you can export that to the SVG file or to PNG format. Okay, so let's focus, for example, on something we all know about, which is collections. So you can search into this graph. So here there is no matches, so everything is disabled. Okay. So here I want to search for collections. Okay, and I have a lot of collections namespace, actually 62. Okay, so I keep these 62 guys. Okay, and now I have something a bit more understandable. Okay, and only namespaces with collection, or also assemblies with collection. Then I can expand them all. And here I have all the collections implementation displayed of .NET 5. Okay, and so for example, let's find a dictionary. So I can expand or collapse. Okay, and I can have a look into dictionary. So if you're wondering what are these boxes, those are clusters to if it's too complex and depend introduce some kind of cluster, you can change the grouping. Okay, so here we're gonna have no more cluster for assemblies, which was somewhere. I lost my dictionary. So yes, of course I lost it because now it becomes more complicated. So I can find it back if I am searching for dictionary, but actually there is a lot of matches. But here I can zoom in this one. Okay, now I can select it and I can directly center it, which is better. Okay, I can uncenter, center. Okay, so here now I have all the method of assemblies and I can expand and do a lot of stuff. So this quick first demo was just to show you that even if you are working on very large code bases that spans on many Visual Studio solutions with thousands of types, etc., and millions of lines of code, NDPen will be able to give you some interesting information about that. Okay, so let's go to something a bit more normal. Okay, which is a typical web application. So here it is. It's okay, you can see it? Yeah. So it's the NobCommerce website. Yeah, it's the NobCommerce website. Okay. So here I have Visual Studio. I've already pre-installed the NDPen extension. Okay. So here it proposed me attach a new NDPen project to the current Visual Studio solution. So let's go. So here it is resolving 21 assemblies and also 4 test assemblies. Actually, there is a default filter that filter out test assemblies. Okay, so typically you don't want to analyze test assembly, even though it's very interesting to have code coverage information I will detail later. So let's go for analyzing, so I can build a report or not. So for now, I'm not going to build it. I'm going to reserve it for the last part of the session. So here NDPen is telling me that it's analyzing. Okay, it shows me information in the error list. So it should be quite quick. Okay, so now it's done. And now it's passing the NDPen rule that I will detail a bit later. So let's go to the NDPen dashboard. Okay, dashboard here. And here, already in a few seconds, NDPen tells me a lot of interesting information. So 80,000 line of code, 2,600 types. So typically the number of types, which is the number of classes, enumeration, interface, etc., structure, delegates, etc. This is an interesting number if you want to estimate the size of your application or compare with other applications. It's even more interesting than the number of line of code. Okay, so the number of type is a good number. So it computes 3,000 issues, which is a lot. If I click it, I get them all. Okay, so that's a lot, and NDPen has a solution for this tsunami of issues that I'm gonna introduce just after. So let's go back to the dependency graph of Nob. So let's have a look at the application map. Okay, something I didn't show you. So here I have all the assemblies. I can also remove the cluster as previously. So it's a bit more cluttered. Okay, and I can also filter in. By default, it excludes the third-party code element, which is MS-Corelib, etc. So here it's quite messy. Okay, so that's why it's if you have many assembly, it's better to use the clustered view. So now NDPen cluster everything between the ASP.NET Core assembly, okay, that we are all using, ASP.NET authentication, diagnostic, JSON, etc., etc. So for example, if I select an assembly, I can instantly view which one is using it directly and indirectly. I can also keep only the colors. Okay, so here I directly have the colors for this assembly. Of course, I can select several assembly and get all the colors. Okay. So this is the navigation bar, which is very interesting to basically to navigate your code through graph. Okay, so let's go back to this view. For example, if I want to focus on the customer domain entity in the domain, okay, I just click search, I type customer, okay, and then I can keep all this guy. And here I have all my namespace related or assembly related to customer. And exactly as before, I can expand it, and I can even expand it one more. Okay, and now I have everything about cluster with all the method, all the types, etc., etc. Okay, so let's go back to the application map. Something I wanted to show you is when so for example, if you are selecting, let's say, if you are selecting this guy, okay, so it has some colors and collie. I can keep all the colors and Collie with depth max or direct 2, 3, or let's keep with max. Okay, so I have all my dependency here. And what's interesting, it's actually a code query has been generated for me. So I can click edit code query. Okay, and code query is something which is very important in NDPen because this is really the backbone of the tool. Okay, here basically you can see a C# link query. Okay, quite readable with some domain. And actually you can, with a query, we can directly query the NDPen code model. Okay, so here typically you want namespaces that are using directly or indirectly catalog.star, actually any namespace named catalog, but actually I think there is only one. Okay, catalog.cache. Okay, with the range 1 to maximum, which is 100. Okay, and here we get all the user and the collie, and in blue we get the third-party collie. Okay, so the code query is something I'm gonna focus a lot on the demo because this is really the backbone of NDPen. You can use it to write rules. You can use it to write your own query. So, for example, I can ask for, let's say, from M in application.method, I want two complex methods where M.cyclomatic complexity. So typically the cyclomatic complexity is a measure of complexity of a method. Basically, it's counting the number of loop, the number of if, the number of else, the number of switch, or all these keywords that can change the thread flow. Okay, and here you get the cyclomatic complexity. So I want the one with more than 20, which is quite complex method. So really, it's something. It's a bit like LinkPad actually. Okay, for those who know LinkPad. And here I get all the complex method of the code base. So there is 140 of these guys. Okay, and of course, if you are, let's say, I want to double click this one, just to make sure that this one is quite complex. So typically, you don't want to have this kind of method in your code base, right? So yeah, this was a quite complex one. So here, instantly, I can discover that kind of method just by querying the code model. Okay, so it just typically link, and actually, you don't necessarily need to know it because you have NDPen search. So I can search actually, I can generate code query. So I want to search method by complexity. Okay, I want complexity higher than 20. Okay, and I get the same query. So it's higher and equal. Normally I should have this. Okay, it was higher and equal. So I just generated the code query from the search result. So this panel is very powerful because you can generate code queries. So for example, I want types by let's say coupling. Okay, and so I can see that this guys is using a lot of types. Okay, so this must be quite a complex types. It has almost 2,000 line of code in this declaration. So it basically it's mapping all the configuration. So that's normal. It's using a lot of guys. Okay, and if I'm here, base no op model is used by 700 types. Okay, so this one is the most popular in the application. This is the cornerstone of the application. So all this information you can update it very quickly, and you can, of course, you can edit the code query. Okay, which is actually very simple. You are selecting the types used and the types using it. Okay, so let's enough for code query. I will go back later, just after. So I want to finish with the graph, the dependency graph. So let's go back to application map, which is the default graph of the application.
Patrick.
So yeah,
there is a question in the chat. Do you want that being asked now, or you prefer to wait till the end?
Yeah, sure, no problem. We have an hour, right?
Yeah, one of the question is how NDPen is impacting Visual Studio performance. What's kind of the impact?
So I'm sure that I'm not sure that the guys are asking that is using an extension that is very slowing down Visual Studio. I don't want to name it because that's not polite. And no, NDPen is definitely not impacting Visual Studio performance. It's quite light, despite the large number of features. It's quite light. I know it can sound marketing, but that's the technical, the engineering true. So I encourage you to go to ndpen.com and try it on your own code base and see. So you just go on ndpen.com and you can download a 14-day trial and see how it impacts, but typically it won't have impact. And also, if any you find some impact on the performance, which it should not, but if you have, first we'd like to know, because we are very careful about that, because we really, the last thing that developer want is that we slow down their IDE. So we are very, very careful. So first we want to know about it. And second, as I told you, when you install Visual NDPen, so here you have this installer for the, okay, you can install it in Visual Studio, but don't forget that you have NDPen as a standalone also, which is the NDPen, which is the one I just used before. Okay, so from there you can analyze all these guys. So you have all these options, but honestly, it shouldn't have an impact. But if you have feedback, it will be very interesting. And no crashes also. We are very relentlessly chasing all the crash we can, and we can gather in our logs and stuff like that. So it should be solid. It should be solid and smooth. And if you have a feedback about that, it will be very interesting. So let's go back to the newcomers. Okay. So one thing very interesting is that you can double-click Edge. So what's happening here? So sorry, I've been a bit quick. So I double-click the edge between NOP data and NOP core, okay, which are the two assemblies. Let's double-click. And here I am now exploring the coupling between these two assemblies. So basically, I get all the types in green that are user, okay. So user in coupling graph, and in blue you have the used in coupling graph. Okay, and when I am hovering it, I can see who is using what. And even more interesting, so this one is a bit complex, it's a bit hard to use this one maybe. So you have even better the code query view. So I can click the edit code query. And here I have all the types matched, because actually the query has been generated for me when I double click it, the edge. Then the query has been executed to match all this. And then the result has been exported to the graph. Okay, so a graph has been created from a code query that has been generated from a double click. And there, so for I have all the couples. So I can see that this provider manager is using 7 types from NoOp core. Okay, and on the other side, I can see that language is used by all this guy from language. Sorry, from NoOp data. Okay, so here you can very explore. So I guess you understand how interesting it can be. Very often we have 2 namespaces or 2 assemblies, and we want to explore what is in the coupling, because typically we want to have loose coupling. So we want to introduce interface and introduce new class and inject code, all these nice architecture things. So with this kind of vision, it's I hope it can help a lot achieving this kind of. Sorry, I have Facebook open, which is making noise. Yeah. So I hope this kind of feature can help a lot. Interestingly enough, you can also, so it works also from the Solution Explorer. So you can just right click and see this guy on dependency graph. So here I have NOP web, okay, and here I match the namespace children, colors and callees of this assembly. So here I have all these children, okay, all the colors are here, and all the callees are here. Okay, of course I can expand all these guys. So I need to. can expand and go to tip level. Okay. And what's interesting is that if I go back, so you have an undo system to navigate. And as explained, you have a export. You can also save some graph here, save and load graph. Okay, save as. And what's interesting basically is that when it's saving. So here I did a lot of undo item. So it's not saving the graph as a list of node, but as a list of undo item. And this is very interesting because when you are loading after changing your code, so the graph will be changed based on the undo item. So that's quite interesting. So here, so what I did, I generate a dependency graph from NOP web. And here also a code query has been generated. So I want children of NOP web, I want colors and I want calling. Okay, so from N in children, concat color, concat callies, distinct, I want them to be distinct. Okay, so a code query has been generated again for me, which is, and as I explained you, the third party has been excluded, but I can have a look. So I can have a look at everything that is consuming by the third party. Okay, so something interesting in terms of architecture you want to know is when you have a lot of cycle, a lot of entangled code. Okay, so this is another feature of the NDPen graph. You can just click in the navigation bar the cycle, and what's happened is that it generates you a code query. Close all but this. Okay, I don't want. Okay, so you can, something I didn't say is that here you have the code view. Okay, but typically in this query generated, there is a description, and actually it's even a rule. So there are some how to fix instruction. So I can prefer to view the source, the description and the how to fix. Okay, you don't need to have a look at the source code if you already have high level information like description. Okay, so here basically this rule says that it doesn't want namespace dependency cycle because this is the rules of entangled code. And if you don't believe me, I can export this cycle made of 30 namespace in NoOp.services. Okay, so I can stop grouping by assemblies to have a proper view. Okay, and then I can change the layout. And here I have quite an entangled code. And what's interesting is that when I'm hovering any namespaces, all the other guys become red. This is because everyone is both a color of L collie of everyone else. So typically this is a super component that can be hard to uncouple, that can be hard to develop and test because it's a big spaghetti code actually, and everyone is depending on everyone else. There is another feature interesting if you are interested in dependency, which is the dependency matrix. So I can export this graph to dependency matrix. So export to dependency matrix. Okay, so here I have the same elements. So I can say, okay, it's from 0 to 29, so there are 30. Okay, and actually a blue cell tells me that the assembly in the namespace in column is using the namespace in row. And a green cell tells me the opposite. A namespace in row is using a namespace in column. And a black cell tells me that both namespaces are mutually dependent. Okay, and there is even a mode that tells me, so this is the indirect depth, that tells me when two namespaces are dependent indirectly. So indirectly, that means that it's not two. You see here, it's two because there is only two namespaces involved into the bidirectional cycle. But if I do like that, I get all the numbers. So for example, here I have a 4. So if I click here, I can see that 4 guys are involved. So this one is using this one, is using this one, is using this one, and this one are mutually dependent. So that's quite a complex cycle. So typically, NDPen is chasing for you this big ball of spaghetti code that usually you want to layer from high level to low level. Okay, so you have a lot of information here, but the first thing to start unentangling this kind of structure is to double click the red arrow. The red arrow means that they are bidirectionally dependent. Actually, a red arrow is the equivalent of this black cell here. Okay, so you need to double click, and then you can have information about the coupling exactly as I explained before. So here, a large code query actually has been generated for me. And here we can see that actually this type is using this interface. So maybe I didn't click properly. I didn't choose the right. So let's choose this one. Yes, it's here. I have a blue that is using a green and a green that is using a blue. So that's why there is a bidirectional dependency, because the blue is using the green and the green is using the blue. And here you get all the data. So from there, you can try to infer what to do. And even better, if I go back to the cycle code rule, it will tell you, sorry, there is a, let me go back. So these are all the panels of NDPen. So there is the rule explorer. Okay, so there are many default rules executed by default. And there is one very interesting, which is avoid namespaces mutually dependent. And this rule has an heuristic that tells me that this namespace shouldn't use this namespace, for example, this 5, because, sorry, this type shouldn't use this type because this namespace shouldn't use this namespace. So basically, there is some kind of heuristic that tells you what to do, or at least which dependency you should remove to get rid of dependency cycle. Okay, so I've been through a lot of dependency feature. So dependency, I hope we can agree that it's a very important feature of software, because if we all have a lot of examples of large monolithic components that are very hard to develop and to maintain and to make evolve. And typically, this is because the dependency are not right in it. And this is why there is this analogy of spaghetti code. So I hope that this small demo showed you that with the proper tooling, you can have information and knows what to do to get a better architecture of your large application.
Patrick.
So now, yeah,
there is a question. Is it possible to diff type dependency diagrams using NDPen?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you can diff, and this is exactly what I'm doing now. So that's a good question. So let's go for diffing, and I will show you how you can diff the dependency. So now in the third party, let's go back to my PowerPoint. Focus on code quality of new and refactored code. So when you say about new and refactored, it means that you need to have a baseline, right? A baseline from where you can say that a type is new or has been refactored or even has been removed. Okay, so with NDPen, let's go back to my Visual Studio. For that, to have a baseline, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna so I have some very dirty code here that I'm gonna uncomment. Okay, I've uncommented this very dirty code. Okay, I uncommented it. So here, basically, I have a base class that is using a derived class. So if you know about object-oriented, this is very bad. And I also have a very dirty method with a lot of loop, a lot of for, while, if, etc. Okay, so let's save that. Let's compile. So contrary to Roslyn analyzer, NDPen needs new code to be recompiled. Okay, and then it can execute again this analysis, which is very fast. So here I'm doing it manually, but I can change the setting to do it after every build. Okay, so here, so from this little round of NDPen circle, I click run analysis. So it should take like 5 to 10 seconds. Okay, it tells me the progression. Here we are. And now, I did that, which is very, very unnice. And what happened, if I go back to the dashboard now, what it did, the first analysis result I've done 23 minutes ago, okay? It's, oh, that's interesting. Why he didn't see the diff, so for, because the baseline was the same. So I just have to click the 23 minutes. Yes. So now, 23 minutes ago, I did the first analysis, and now it's comparing again this analysis results. And what it tells me is that I've added 57 lines of code, and I've added 2 types, which is true, as we just saw in country set services. And what's interesting is that everything in the NDPen dashboard is clickable. So typically, if I click this one, okay, it tells me everything that have been added. Okay, so the bold font is used because it tells me for the added code element. So I can see the new types and the new methods. Okay, I can get the new types here, or I can get a new method here. So you can click everything, and immediately, again, a code query has been generated for me. So you see, very often the code query are generated. The idea is not that you're going to learn the NDPen code model. The idea is that often it generates for you all this information. But what's very interesting, I think very, very interesting, because we are in Visual Studio and we can focus on the code quality of the delta since baseline. So I had issue, you remember, I tell you there is more than 3,000 issues. So there is a tsunami of issue, and nobody has the time to go through all this and fix everything. And so nobody has this kind of time. But if we are using a baseline, which is typically your last released version in production, okay, so you work very hard to have a very sleek release, and now you can use it as a baseline. Okay, and from there, you can say, now I want to be clean from the baseline, which means that I don't want anything red here, which means that I don't want any new issue. Okay, so here, if I click 5, so he not only can query the code, but he can query the issue. Okay, and here it find me 5 new issues. So avoid method too big, too complex. And of course, this method is very dirty method. It's very big and very complex. Okay, so it's right. Avoid method potentially poorly commented. And indeed, there is 0 comments in it. For a very large method like that, this is not nice. From now, all methods should respect basic principles. So basically, this dirty method violates all these 3 rules. And now I have the rule base class should not use derivative. Okay, and here, if I can see that, if I double click here, I can see that the base class is using the derivative. Okay, and finally, potentially dead methods. And indeed, because the very dirty method is used nowhere, I just added it from nowhere, and nobody is using it. Then it considers me a dead method. So here is something that I think is very important for our user. Instead of trying to work on instead of tackling the quality at the large code base level, that is a very too hard and discouraging task, you can start by fixing the issues on new and refactored code. Okay, and you can get this kind of issue from the NDPen dashboard. So the question was, can I explore changing dependencies in the baseline? And yes, you can. Actually, because NDPen understood that now we have a baseline, in the graph, in the navigation, you have this change map. Okay, and basically the change map shows me a graph of new code elements. So here we have very dirty method, derivative class, okay, base class. Okay, so you match this one because they are parents, but actually I should group them. Okay, and it's even more interesting if I do independency, but so let's export to dependency. So export to dependency matrix. And now I have all my new code elements. And you can see that on my cells, it's putting me some plus, which means that the dependency has been added. And also you can put some minus if the dependency has been removed. So typically the minus will be an empty cell with a little minus because the dependency has been removed. Okay, so I hope it's answering the question. So I showed you that you have a lot of query and rules. So now I'm gonna focus a bit on the kind of rule you have with NDPen. But first, I would like to show you this section, which is defining just my code. So basically, NDPen is providing some code query with a prefix, which name not my code, where you're gonna match all the stuff that are not your code. So as you can see, there is a lot of logic that already try to attempt to match what is not your code. Okay, so not anonymous types, it's, I mean, no, not necessarily the way. So typically, if you have some DB migration in the entity framework or the result page that are generated for you, table adapter manager, okay? So there is a lot of intelligence to try to determine what is not your code. So why is it important? Because the primary things you want when you are using this kind of tool is that you want that the rules don't report false positive. Okay, so so a rule, as you understood, maybe I wasn't clear enough. The rule is just a code query again, so I can see the description or the code rule. And this code query has a prefix, which is one if count greater than 0. This is how you transform a C# link code query into a rule. Okay? And what you want is that this kind of rule don't report false positive. So this is why the rules contains usually a lot of intelligence, a lot of logic to try to detect pattern where it shouldn't be reported as an issue. And one very important pattern is to use just my code. So we saw that just my code was determined by the defining just my code query prior to running any rule, of course. Okay, so here it will avoid tells you issue, for example, on designer types or JSON or XML generated types, etc. All these guys that you don't have the hand on it. Okay, so NDPen won't report issue on it because you can modify it anyway. So even if they are dirty, that's the problem of the guy that would deny the designer, and that's not your problem. Or maybe that's your problem because you are using a wrong designer, but that's another story. So here for each rules, okay, it tells you a lot of information. So that's interesting to look at each rule. So there are a lot of rules about code smell in terms of types too big, too many methods, too many fields, okay, method with too many parameters, too many overload, okay, poorly commented, etc. And even more interesting, you have the code smell regression. And here, indeed, we have a single regression. You remember, this is the dirty method. So typically, in the baseline, if you are comparing the baseline against it, there is no regression. Even though it's dirty, there are some dirty stuff. NDPen doesn't see any regression because it's examining the delta between baseline and now. Okay, but now because we have a delta, and this, do you remember this delta? This is this guy. Okay, now the regression detected that we introduced something very dirty. Okay, so that kind of rules are quite interesting. So you have some rules about object-oriented design, like interface too big or base class should not use with derivative. You remember this is actually there is a single occurrence, which is the base class in that is using the derivative types. Okay, class shouldn't be too deep because then that's very hard to maintain. Okay, you should seal your class. So I'm the kind of guy that like to get the class sealed. Okay, overrides of method should not call base method. Okay, so avoid the singleton pattern. Okay, so etc. etc. You have a lot of OP design. So you have some other typical design rule. Okay, tips with disposable instance field, must be disposable. Okay, so quite a complex rule. And that was something maybe I didn't mention, is that if you want to change a rule, it's as simple as just changing the source code. Because a rule, you see, it's compiled real time and executed real time. Even on very large code base, it's very fast. So this is one big advantage of NDPen, is that it's very fast on all this kind of operation. As you can see, whether you're using with baseline graph, dependency matrix, code query, everything updates real time, even on a very, very large code base. Okay, so let's go back. So there are design rules. Okay, I've been through that. Do implement method, that's rule not implemented exception. Okay, override equal and operator equal on value type. Okay, architecture rules. So I've been through that, like avoid namespace dependency cycle or mutually dependent, because there you have kind of spaghetti. UE layer shouldn't use directly DB types. So there is some intelligence to determine what is DB types and what is UI layer. Okay, so for now, in our presentation, WPF framework, see WinForm, okay, system web, okay, but of course we can add Blazor, etc. This is something actually we have to do for later version. So you have all these kind of rules that try to tell you something about your architecture. You have API breaking changes. So here we didn't introduce API breaking changes, but think like you have a public types that is consumed by your client, and suddenly you rename the public type, or you remove the public types, or maybe you put it as internal. So your client that were consuming this public type cannot consume it anymore, and then you get a public changes. And this is the kind of public changes that NDPen will detect. And here also, that's very interesting to have a baseline, because then NDPen knows about how it was and how it is now, and can do the comparison. So you have some code coverage rules. So I have no code coverage data for this. Maybe I should run the test. So let me show you an interesting thing. So NDPen on NDPen, because as Redgate people and as everyone, we like to dog food our tooling, which means that NDPen is analyzing NDPen since the very beginning. Okay, so here we have another view provided by NDPen, which is the metric view. Okay, and okay, the code metric view, which is here. And here we are comparing. So for NDPen, of course, we have the code coverage data imported. So NDPen is not a code coverage tool, but it can import the code coverage from Visual Studio, NCover, .cover, OpenCover format, and since very recently, it can also import from NCrunch. So basically, all the important coverage tools are addressed. So NDPen import this data inside its code model, and then you have some rules about code coverage. And a super cool feature is that you can explore your code coverage this way. And here I can see that NDPen is there is a lot of green, so there is a lot of code coverage. And actually, if I go in the dashboard, I can see that it tells me that it's 86% covered. Okay, so that's not bad considering all the UI it has. And you have this view that can tell you where, for example, here there is a lot of code could cover, or here also. So maybe something should be done if I want more code coverage on my application. Okay, and what's very interesting is that a lot of rules about code coverage. So for example, code should be tested. So if I activate this rule, so rules are passed again. And here NDPen is finding all the methods in NDPen itself actually that are not entirely covered. And even more interesting is that for all these methods, it's trying to compute technical depth in terms of developer time. So for example, it tells me that this one should take me 4 minutes, or this one should take me 5 hours. So it can be very different based on how large and how complex is a method. Because the more method is complex, and of course, the more tests you will have to write, or maybe you will have to introduce some interfaces to mock some features. So it's quite complex. And NDPen is trying it's gathering everything it can from the method. You see the abstraction usage, the just my code factor, complexity, okay, visibility, because if it's not public, it's hard to test, okay? So it's trying to gather a lot of information. It's trying to estimate the technical depth. Okay, and this is the technical depth side of NDPEN I didn't introduce yet. So let's first go back to the test. So new method should be tested, very interesting, or types almost 100% tested, should be 100% tested. Okay, and what we do actually in NDPEN, we introduced a full cover attribute that you can also use yourself in your code. Then you can tag your code with the full cover attribute to say the intention, I want these types remain covered even when it will be refactored. Okay, I think that's this kind of intention, information that is laking inside the source code. And in the team, if you have this kind of attribute, that's very interesting to express your intention. I want to make sure that this class is important to be tested because it's a cornerstone of our application and it's quite important to test it. So you can express this kind of stuff with the code coverage rule. Then you have dead code rules. Okay, so we see like the potentially dead method. And remember, we introduced this one, which is unused. A few rules about security. So for now, NDPEN is not really a security tool like you can have, but it still have a few rules. And we're planning to introduce some more. Some visibility rules, so method that could have a lower visibility. For example, a public method can be private or protected can be private. Okay, so it can tell you this kind of stuff. This way you can improve the encapsulation because maybe you design a method to be internal, but finally nobody is using it. So better have a private method, better have a more encapsulation. So very interesting group. You have immutability. That can tell you that field should be marked as read-only or avoid non-read-only static types, okay? Avoid static field with immutable types. Okay, so you have all this stuff. Now with the C#9 introduction of record, we can see that mutability and immutability is an even more important characteristic in C# code. So I don't have the time to go into why mutability and immutability is interesting, but we wrote some article about that. So if you want some resource on that, I can put on it. Some naming convention like instance fee naming convention or interface name should begin with an I, etc. So those two have also this kind of rule, like attribute should be suffixed with attribute or base slash by base, etc. Some social organization rules, like when you're duplicating your types across many assemblies, or you want to make sure that namespace name should correspond to file location, which is the case here, or types with source files stored in the same directory should be declared in the same namespace, okay? And finally, you have a lot of rules about .NET framework usage, like usage of collections, threading, XML, or globalization, etc., etc. So that's interesting because first, all the rules are link query. So all rules are very easy to modify, but also all rules, it's very easy to write your rules. You can just generate some code query and decide that it's a rules. For example, I want search types by complexity. I don't want complexity types more complex than that. I can edit the query. I can add a one if count greater than 0, and now I have a rule. So it's quite easy. So of course it's a bit simplistic rule, but I can still write some more stuff. So it's quite easy to write your own code rule. For example, on the dependency matrix, I don't want this dependency exist. So you can right click and generate a code rule that wants if this dependency exists. Okay, and of course it's running because the dependency is existing. So you can write this kind of rules very quickly. So many of these rules are not addressed by other tools. I'm thinking of Rosin Analyzer or ReSharper or SonarQube or all these very cool tools that are also static analyzer, but I hope you can see that NDPen is different. It's a complement. I don't say it's better or worse. It's just a complement to all these good tools with all the visualization stuff and the code query stuff, all this kind of feature. Okay.
Patrick,
and, yeah.
there's a question from Michael about code coverage tools. Do you know if there is a tool that allows to do like branch path level coverage rather than simpler, less effective statement level coverage?
Yes. So I'm sure that NCover has it. Okay, NCover, which is a very code coverage tool. I'm pretty sure we should ask the question to Remco Mulder, which is a good friend of me, which is the creator of NCrunch. I'm pretty sure NCrunch has it as well. And then we should investigate for other tools. I'm pretty sure that OpenCover doesn't have it. So tools addressing OpenCover format, at least in OpenCover, you don't have it because NCrunch is exporting to OpenCover. But I think NCrunch has this feature, but OpenCover doesn't have this feature. So maybe there is a loss of information.
All right, cool, thank you. There is also some feedback in the chat for you. Probably you don't monitor the chat, so I want to let you know. Some people said the technical depth measured in hours is an amazing feature.
Thank you. And I very humbly, I say that a lot of users say that so all these default rule sets, okay, that maybe it's not clear from my demonstration, but if I go back here, so you remember I introduced a very big to complex method, and it says that here the depth for the dirty method is 1 hour 38 minutes. And if I go back to the method, of course it's not very realistic, but typically we all know this kind of methods. And I think it's quite realistic to think that I need 1.5 hours to make it clean. So of course with refactor refactored stuff in Visual Studio or in ReSharper, I can go a bit quicker maybe, but typically you involve a lot of static field, a lot of instance field. So typically you have to think twice before just using the tool and refactor and having smaller method and less complex method. So I think it's a good measure. And yes, Ambly user tells us that typically the estimation given are quite realistic. Okay, and if it's not realistic enough, you can go back to the project property of NDPen, and here you have a lot of data that you can change how the depth is estimated. Actually, you can even estimate it in money. If you say an hour is 50 USD or 500 USD, I don't know how you pay developer, but you can estimate also the depth in USD. So I think this is a good feature to talk with managers, okay? Because they like to talk in terms of money. So you can adjust the man day. You can say that typically, man and woman, so human day. So you can say that the human developer is working 8 hours a day, maybe 240 days a year. Okay, so you can adjust all this kind of estimation very, very finally. And what I want to show you is that actually in every method, so let me go back to this one. Okay, avoid method too big, too complex. If I go to this source code, okay, actually it's attempting to compute a complexity score from several stuff, nesting depth, cyclomatic complexity, etc. And then the depth is linear from the complexity score. Okay, so what I mean is that every formula attempts to have some formula, every rule attempt to have some formula that estimate the depth. Because typically, in other tool that try to infer the depth, you just say a problem. If I have a problem with too complex method, then I will need 2 hours. Okay, or maybe linear to the number of line of code, but certainly not linear to the complexity of method. So as I show you for the very, very, very important rules, actually, of course, some rules are generating more depth than some other. And I'm sure that you can guess that the rule that generates the most of the depth is this one. Code should be tested. That once again, let me show you NDPen. Okay, code coverage activated again. And here it tells me that if I want 100% code coverage on NDPen, I will need almost a bit more than a year, a human developer work year. So I need to assign a developer an entire year to reach the 100% coverage. And so that's quite a lot of time, a big estimation, but that seems realistic because the code base is quite big. Okay, and basically to transform all these red square into green square, a year of work is needed. Okay, and this one I showed you as a very complex, very tuned formula to try to give realistic estimation. So yeah, that's a good feature, especially to talk with management, because then you can allocate some credits in terms of human hours or human day to fix the technical debt. But as you can see, typically in NodeCommerce, you see I didn't import yet code coverage. In the dashboard, it proposed me to import code coverage data. Okay, so typically here, I just need to drag and drop the files or the directory that contains the code coverage data. Okay, and but if code coverage data is not imported, you won't, of course, you won't get any depth from the coverage rules, the code coverage rule. Everything is green. So if you really want a good estimation of the depth you have, it's very important to import also your code coverage, because initially the guys that invented all this concept, the famous guys like Martin Fowler, Ken Beck, etc. Initially, for them, the word technical debt means code untested. But then tools can add more things in technical debt, like dead code or code smells or problem with object-oriented, etc., etc. Okay, but at the end of the day, unless your code is extremely well covered, most of your debt will come from the debt rules. Okay, so I have only 4 minutes if I really want to be on time. So let me finish with quality gates. So quality gate, what is it? This is not rules. These are very short query like code base percentage coverage, and to which you can assign 2 results. So I want to fail if my entire code base is not 70% covered, or I want to win if it's not at least 80% covered. And then more than 80%, there is no one, there is no failure. So failure, when does it happen? I mentioned in the beginning that NDPen can be integrated into your continuous integration, okay, which is very interesting. So there is 2 ways. You can either generate some reports. So here I generate the reports from the UI. So let's generate the reports. Or I don't have a demo for that, but I can show you the URL. Or you can go here to the Azure DevOps integration. There is even an overview too. And here you can see that okay, there is some integration inside Azure DevOps. So basically all the features we saw about technical debt, about code coverage imports, okay. So here the report has been generated, so it's quite fast. So here I have exactly the same dashboard as I had before with my 2 new types and my 5 new issues. Okay, here I have my quality gates. Okay, and here I can see the new issues. So you can see that event method too big, too complex as a new issue. Okay, so all the data we have, and of course everything is clickable in the reports. Okay, so this report can be generated and then it can be shared with your team. Okay, for that you can use the NDPen. Where is it? It's here. So you can use ndpen.console.exe. Okay, so you also have something I didn't detail. You also have some power tool because NDPen has an API. You can also automatize a lot of things and target NDPen API. So basically, you can run NDPen to summarize in Visual Studio, in a Visual NDPen, as we saw, which is the standalone, in your build process with NDPen console.exe to generate this report, and in Azure DevOps to have this kind of dashboard that you can, everything is clickable, and then you can get a lot of information. And just to finish the quality gate I was mentioning before, basically the usage of quality gate is to fail the build. So in which, so yes, here the quality gate. So with quality gate, what you want to do is to fail a build when they are red, when they are failing. So here they are a new high issue, I mean, with a severity blocker, critical or high. So we have new issue like that. So typically, because I write these new dirty methods, then the build is gonna fail. No matter it is in TeamCity or Azure DevOps or Jenkins, or no matter what you want. So it's gonna fail, and for that you have this quality gate. And here also the quality gate is just query. So it's very easy to modify a quality gate. Okay, so here I can put, for example, 75% code coverage. This is what I want, or maybe I want just 45, I don't know. So it's very easy to modify the twist source and the rules and the quality gate itself. Okay, and the usage, and it's very important because then this is how the team can be advised when the bad things are happening, especially the bad things on the Delta since the baseline, because you typically, if you use this kind of tool, you want to be clean from now. And from now, all the new code and all the refactor code should be quite clean. Or maybe you just want all the new code, and maybe you want to over up the threshold on the refactor code. Okay, and just to finish, if you ask, typically, so our pricing is public, so there is no surprise. The developer seats are per machine, and it's for the Visual Studio integration and the standalone Visual NDPen. Then you have the build machine seats per number of build machine or per number of agent. And finally, you have per number of Azure DevOps user, and then you can add. And then you have subscription 1, 2, or 3 years, and of course there are some kind of discount explained here. So just to make sure that the pricing is matching what I presented so far.